Colorado's first national monument was so remote, the government just said, fuck it. Sitting in the mountains just outside of Creede, Colorado, is a volcanic formation known as the Wheeler Geologic Area. However, getting here involves either one hell of a hike or driving down one bumpy-ass four-wheel drive road. Before we show you where we're at, let's show you where you start. Way the fuck back there. Your journey into the Wheeler Geologic Area is going to start up here at what's called Hanson's Mill. This is the only spot up here that is going to allow camping. Once you get past this point, there's no more camping allowed. So it's in and out, but you can set up base camp here. There's spots for fireplaces if conditions allow, and there is a restroom, which is nothing more than a stovepipe toilet. So have fun taking a dump in that. But you can get in there in one of two different ways. You can either come over here and take the 16-mile round-trip hike, which, by the way, this is pretty much nothing more than a cattle path. I took this last year, got almost all the way there, and learned a very, very valuable lesson. Check the weather forecast before you go out on an all-day hike, or you might just end up getting accidentally tickled by Thor. Yeah, I made it 8 miles there, just shy of the Wheeler Geologic Area, before the weather took a dramatic turn. I ended up having to flag an OHV driver to get me out of there, and shortly, about an hour after I'd made it out of the mountains, flash flooding hit the area, so I got a little fucking lucky last year. But I've learned my lesson. I checked the weather forecast. I called the ranger station just to make sure, so I could take the other drive, which is this 28-mile round-trip drive. Now, depending on conditions, you might need a winch. They said the road is all dry this year when I called in yesterday, so I shouldn't have a problem getting in there. But it's important to note, it is high clearance, four-wheel drive, or OHV only. And by the way, four-wheel drive and all-wheel drive are not the same fucking thing. Just so you know that, and don't get stuck deep in the mountains with no cell signal and no way to get out. Now, if you're gonna take the hike in, get here at the plumber's crack of dawn. It's gonna take you some time. It's gonna take longer than you think it will to get in and out, and you wanna have ample time to get out before the sun sets and actually have time to enjoy the area. Today, I don't have to worry about that. We're gonna take the four-wheel drive road. Like I said, the ranger station yesterday said it'd been completely dry. I shouldn't have anything to worry about. But to other Wrangler owners out there, before you start going down these roads, take all the ducks off the dash. They're not going to be in a row by the time you're done. Even though I hiked in last year, I did get a pretty good look at this road on the way out because I had to flag down a lovely couple from Oklahoma in their side-by-side to get me out when a, lightning storm and flash flood rains started erupting in the area, which was my fault. I did not check the weather forecast, and the previous 2 days prior to that had torrential downpour rains in the mountains, and there had been several cases of flash flooding. So that was my fault. I was a dumbass, and I nearly paid for it. Parts of this road haven't been that bad, honestly. Other parts of this road have made me glad that I just bought new tires and shocks and steering stabilizer and track bar and tie rod, steering arm, steering box. You know what? Thanks for watching this because you're helping me recoup the costs of that because fuck. Now, just because you done driving, don't mean you're there yet. At the end of the 14-mile drive, you'll have to park and there'll be about another half-mile, three-quarter-mile hike in, so grab your pack and get to it. I've lost just under 15 pounds so far this year, because trust me, I needed to. And I thought losing some of that weight would make doing hikes like this just a little bit easier. As it turns out, I'm still fat. I have lost just enough weight for none of my pants or shorts to fit anymore. I really should have worn a belt. Thank God there's no one behind me or they'd be getting a half moon right about now. Lo and behold, we made it. I present to you the Wheeler Geologic Area. What you're seeing behind me is the remnants of one of the largest supervolcanic eruptions in Earth's history. We're talking the type of supervolcanic eruptions that would give the Yellowstone supervolcano wet dreams. When this place went tits up over 25 million years ago, it would form the Garita caldera and spread ash over 11,000 square miles at an average depth of 365 feet, blanketing pretty much all of Colorado and the surrounding Four Corners states. When this ancient caldera erupted, it would release 5,000 times more energy than mankind's largest bomb, the Tsar Bomba. Thankfully, this is an extinct caldera, because if this went and exploded today, we'd all be fucked. In the roughly 25 plus million years since this eruption, weather and time would erode the vast majority of ash and rock left behind by the eruption, which leaves us with just these formations that fill this caldera. I don't know much about what makes up these hoodoos and spires within this formation. I'm not a geologist. I'm just a goblin that likes rocks, preferably shiny ones, but hey, I don't judge. But what I do know is that in 1908, Teddy Roosevelt kinda had a thing for making national monuments. Kinda like Nick Cannon has a thing for having children. So he would designate the Wheeler Geological Area as Colorado's first national monument, beating out the Great Sand Dunes, Garden of the Gods, and Mesa Verde. This area would be named after one Captain George Wheeler, because he would lead an expedition through this area of the San Juans. But more importantly, it's not known if he actually explored this area. No one knows if he actually seen any of this. It's just that when it came time to name it, they knew he had gone nearby and said, fuck it, close enough, and then slapped his name on it. You know what? It is still better than naming it after the expedition that went through some 50-odd plus years before Wheeler's. The John C. Fremont expedition kind of went tits up 9 ways to hell and may have devolved into cannibalism, so Wheeler works. On a side note, this is yet another video that I've done research on where I have found yet again more cannibalism. How many cannibals can one area possibly have? And this place used to actually get a lot of visitors. But as time went on and we traded out the horseshoe for the rubber tire and really got that hard on for oil and gas, less and less people started coming up here. See, it was a whole lot easier to get a horse up a horse path than a vehicle up a horse path, because that ain't gonna happen, especially with the early vehicles. So by the end of the 1940s, less than 50 people were recorded coming up here annually, and eventually President Truman stripped it of its national monument status, and Colorado lost its first national monument. It would be given back to the Rio Grande Forest. However, they would build roads up here, like the road to Hanson's Mill, where you start the journey up here, and the four-wheel drive path you took to the parking area just a half a mile from here. And that's not quite the end either, because in 1993, it was given to the La Garita Protected Wilderness. And what that means is this place has now been afforded certain protections it didn't have before. There's no logging. There's no mining. They're not building any more roads up here. Hell, they barely maintain the four-wheel drive path that you take to get here to begin with. So what you see is what you get, and what it was is what it will always be. Now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta go find something to wipe with, because flying my very expensive drone through all these volcanic spires and formations in areas I could not see or hear it was a sphincter-shattering experience. So, stay feral, everyone.